guys, it's Taylor. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I hope that you enjoy your first time here. Today I'm doing a video that I've really been thinking about doing for a long time, but this last week I actually had a week off of work, which was like absolutely mind-blowing to me. I have no idea why I had a week off of work. I think it's just because I took some extra hours for people like over the holidays and stuff, so she gave me a week off of work and school hasn't started yet, so I literally just spent this week at my house just like completely redoing my life. I made a workout routine. I started researching food, like meal prep. I started, you know, all this different stuff. I obviously in the new year have started like a new healthy lifestyle that I'm planning to keep like permanently. I completely cleaned out this office space that I use kind of as an office slash studio, so I completely cleaned it all out, reorganized everything, moved some stuff around my house, and it has just given me like new life. For those of you who don't know, I am very much an introvert, so spending a whole week just kind of like in my home, in my space, creating a nice little zen area for myself just completely recharged me, revived me. I did not want to leave. I was like thriving, just never leaving my house, so it was a little bit of an adjustment coming back into reality today and going to work, but I decided that tonight I wanted to go ahead and film a video that I've been thinking about for a while now, and that is 10 girl boss habits that are helping me through my senior year. These are basically just like 10 characteristics or 10 actions, 10 things that you can do to really just improve your year, make the most of your 2018. I know that we're decently fresh into the new year. Even if we're not, this is just a great way to kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's a great way to kind of like re-kickstart your goals. So whenever this does happen to go live, this is a way to kind of reset your year and, you know, go after your goals and make sure that everything gets done and live the best year that you can. So I'm going to stop rambling and stop trying to explain what I'm thinking, because obviously that's not going well, and I'm just gonna go ahead and get on into the 10 tips. So the first habit of a girl boss is that girl bosses don't waste any of their time. Now I don't just mean this in the sense that, you know, they don't do things that are perceived as a waste of time, or, you know, they don't spend too much time on their phones or whatever, but I kind of mean this as more like maximizing the time that you do have. So any little bit of time that you have can be used to work towards a goal. It can be used to work towards bettering yourself. It can literally just be used for recreation, to recharge you, whatever it is that, you know, kind of helps you revive yourself. It can be used for any of those things. It's just a matter of not wasting that time, not spending it on other things that aren't going to be as good for you or aren't going to matter as much. This also includes then just, I guess, basically always bring something else that you can work on, or always have something else going on. Not exactly multitasking, but sort of in a sense, so you're making the most of your time and really maximizing it. So an example of this would be that I get allergy shots once a week, and when you go, obviously there's the time that you have to wait, you know, after check-in between then and when like the nurse can come give you your shots. So obviously you have that time that you're waiting there, but then also after you get your shots, you have to wait 25 minutes so they can, you know, monitor you for any reactions or anything, and just kind of like as a time for your system to reset as it's adjusting to all of the new allergens that are in it. So during those 25 minutes, I could just sit there in the waiting room on my phone, or I could like whatever it is that I would want to do while I'm there. But I always like to bring something to work on, so I like to bring a book that I want to read, or I'll edit videos, or I'll research something that I've been wanting to learn about, or I will even just do homework if it's during the school year, which unfortunately that is starting back up and I'm really not happy about it. But make the most of all your time, really maximize it, even if it just means spending that extra time doing something that you've always wanted to do, you know, researching something for yourself. Like I said, it doesn't have to be necessarily like productivity related, it can also be personal, but just make sure you're maximizing your time and making the most of every minute that you have. Girl boss habit number 2 is that girl bosses always have a plan. Now by this I mean that you know what you're doing and when. So if this means keeping a planner, having like a desk calendar, having a, you know, dry erase calendar, literally all of the above. Whatever way you make your plans, even if you just like keep them in your phone, girl bosses always have a plan. They know when they're supposed to be in certain places and where they're supposed to be, who they're meeting with, what they're going to talk about, all of those different things. So as an aspiring girl boss, I would definitely recommend keeping a small planner like this one. So this is just a blue sky one from May Designs. This is one that I got at Target. It just says 2018 in this like cute lettering, and it's all rose gold and white, and it's definitely like my vibe. So I just like to keep all of my stuff in here. I keep a pretty decent tally of everything that I have to do. I've started using more of like a bullet journaling type setup. Not that it's actually made of like bullets, because this isn't, it's just like regular lined paper or regular open paper, but I've started using like bullet journal type symbols and markings in it to kind of help me transition into next year, which I want to have a bullet journal for 2019. So this is kind of going to help me transition into that. But definitely keep a plan, keep organized. I have literally so many calendars, it's crazy. So like here are the ones that I printed off for YouTube for the next couple of months, and I'm just going to kind of make sure I have my YouTube stuff planned out there. I also keep like a large calendar on a door in my kitchen, and that kind of has like my work schedule, Jared's work schedule, any school things that are happening. So definitely just make sure you have a plan, make sure you have all of your stuff put together and know when you're supposed to be where and all the things that are going on. That way you won't miss anything. You'll be able to plan better. You'll be able to make the plans that you want to make. So like if you know when your classes are, when you're working or whatever, you can make better social plans as well. So that's always a really nice perk. Another great way I like to use my planner is sometimes I will do color coding. So I have one of those little, I don't have it with me right now, but I have one of those little pens that has like 4 different colors in it. That has been my favorite thing to use for my planner because I have like a color for school, a color for work, a color for YouTube and like social media stuff, and a color for like personal stuff. So that's come in really handy for me as well. So whatever it is that you do, whatever method works for you, make sure you have a plan. Girl boss habit number 3 is that girl bosses stay organized. So whether this means color coding things, binder separators, it makes all the difference to have that kind of stuff to really organize everything. This can mean in your computer files, making sure that everything is nice and cleaned up so you know where the files are when you need them and you're working on things. This is especially prevalent for me. I do a lot of stuff on, obviously like I use Word and different things like that for classes. Then I also do like Photoshop. I have all my YouTube stuff on my computer. I also have like 2 SD cards obviously that I keep YouTube stuff on, and I have my external hard drive that I keep YouTube stuff on. So making sure that all of my files are nice and organized is a huge help for me. And this goes for anything in life as well. Making sure your space is organized, making sure your thoughts are organized. This might even just mean like having a journal that you write things down in, and then you can move them to like your planner, you can move them to whatever they go in, just to kind of have all of your thoughts in one place and keep them organized. I cannot tell you how many times having like binder separators, like just the little ones with like, you can have them with or without pockets, but I cannot tell you how many times those have saved my life. I use them for all of my classes. I use them in my wedding binder. I use them in my binder for my student organization. There's just so many different things, so many ways that you can organize your life, and those are some of my top tips. Girl boss habit number 4 is that girl bosses always take notes, whether you're in a work interview, a meeting, whether you're in class, or literally just wherever you are. Taking notes helps you to be more present in whatever you're participating in. So like when I'm reading books, I like to take notes on the book, and I make little sticky notes that I put inside the book to kind of help me remember the key points that I want to get out of this and what I want to learn from this book. Or when I'm in class, obviously I'll take notes. I like to take those either by hand or on my computer. It just really depends on the class. I'll take notes on like sermons in church and like just different things like that. Anytime you're taking notes on whatever you're talking about, not only is it going to help you remember it, but it's also just going to keep your consciousness in that space. So it's going to keep your mind in that meeting, or it's going to keep your mind in that lecture, or whatever it is. The fact that I always write things down in like meetings or in lectures, it has played a huge role in the fact that, you know, I do decently well in school. I have good grades. I remember things. Like, it's definitely saved my life so many times. Girl boss habit number 5 is that girl bosses handle their money. Now, this is a huge one. I am such a budgeter. I love it. I just love knowing where all of my money is. That's the best way to make your money work for you and make it do the most for you, is to know where every single penny is going, whether it's going to your savings account, whether it's going to pay bills, whether it's going to save up for some item that you're saving for, or car payments, whatever it is. Budgeting and understanding where your money is going and when is going to help you majorly with just kind of like slaying your life, being a general girl boss. I like to do the, forget what it's called. I will put whatever the method is called down here. It's the 0 something method, but I like to do it where I end up basically with a 0 balance at the end of the month. Not like a 0 balance in my checking account, but it's just like I take all my income for the month and I allocate every single penny of it. So if that means that the last chunk of it I just move over to my savings, then that's what I'll do. Or if it means that whatever, I just like to end at a 0 with that. So let's say you have like $500 to allocate. So maybe you want to put like 50 of it in your savings, and then you have a car payment to pay, and then, you know, you're subtracting everything. And once you get to the end of that, you can take whatever's left over, and to make sure that you get to a 0, you can add that to your extra savings. You can treat yourself to something at the end of the month, whatever it is. That's just kind of a nice way to go about it. So that's what I do, but whatever works for you, just make sure that you're keeping a serious budget and you understand where all your money is going so you can make it do the most for you. Girl boss habit number 6 is that girl bosses work. It doesn't matter who else is slacking. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. doing. If you see a task that can be done, or if you think of a task that can be done wherever you are, girl bosses do it. This could be as simple as, you know, if you're at work and one of your tasks is to clean the bathroom and nobody else has done it yet, even if it's not your job, take the initiative and go do it. Going that extra mile is going to really stand out. I know that you don't think that anybody is noticing when you do those little things, but they really add up, and eventually, you know, when it's between hiring you and hiring somebody else, or when it's between promoting you and promoting someone else, people are gonna know that you're putting in that extra work, you're going that extra mile, and it's definitely going to pay off in the end. And this doesn't even just apply to careers either. This can apply to, say you're doing like a big part of a project and maybe like your group members aren't doing as much. Like when you put in the effort and you know your stuff, your professor is gonna know. Like I've done projects before where sometimes my teammates weren't necessarily the best and they weren't necessarily putting all the work into it, but when I got up there to present, I knew everything that I was talking about. I was poised, I was professional, and that has definitely paid off in my school life, in my professional life, just really all around. So whatever it is, go the extra mile, put in the work. It's definitely going to be worth it in the end when you're achieving your goals and you're a girl boss. Habit number 7 is that girl bosses say yes. This is something that was like so scary to me when I first got here, but it was so necessary for like every part of my personal development when I first came to college. For those of you who don't know, I actually didn't come to a big university until the second semester of my sophomore year of college. So the first part I spent at a community college, and then for the second semester of my sophomore year, I started here at Missouri State. And when I moved out here, I moved by myself. I had a roommate who I hadn't met before. It was just that, you know, we happened to get matched up to be roommates. And for that first probably 6 months that I was here, I didn't say no to anything. Whenever anybody would ask me to do something, whenever, you know, I would have an opportunity to do something social, like try a new club or like go to a new student ministry or whatever, like I always said yes. And that made such a difference in my life. I made more friends. I got more comfortable in this space quicker. Like I accomplished in 6 months here what I couldn't accomplish in 5 years in the last place that I lived. So that was definitely a game changer for me, learning to say yes. And this also applies kind of to like what we were talking about in the last point, where you can apply it to tasks. If someone's asking you to do something extra, say yes. It's going to be unknown. It's going to be scary sometimes. It's going to be frustrating sometimes because it feels like you're taking on so much at one time. But if you are following the other girl boss hacks and you're kind of just making sure that you're still organized, making sure that you've managed your time well, and all of that stuff, saying yes to all these new opportunities, all these new people, it's just going to really, really enhance your life. Things will feel overwhelming or scary at times, but the risk is definitely going to pay off in the end. Girl boss habit number 8 is that girl bosses also know their boundaries. So this is kind of a play off of the last one, but on the flip side. So saying yes is a great thing, and I think that the amount of times that I said yes when I first got here definitely made my experience so much better. And still, when I put that into practice, I feel like I just enrich my life so much. But there are times when saying yes will hurt you, and you will know these times. So for example, sometimes I'll be invited out to go do something with friends, and I know that I'm having an introvert day and it's gonna serve me better to just kind of recharge myself, sit at home for a little while, read a book, clean something, whatever it is I feel like doing. I know that that's gonna serve me better for, you know, my own mental health and my own, I guess, my own personality. And so sometimes you know when saying yes is gonna hurt you and when it's good for you. So sometimes it is okay to limit yourself. Know your boundaries, know where you're cut off. For example, there was one weekend in that 6-month period that I was telling you guys about that I did just say, no, I'm sorry, like I can't. I was having kind of an off weekend. I had a little bit in there where I was like very introverted, and I had kind of exhausted myself socially. I had gone, you know, to a lot of different get-togethers with friends, and I had gone to meet a lot of new people, and it was great for me, and I was making all these connections that I was gonna need farther along in my college experience. But for one weekend I said, you know, I'm just gonna spend some time with myself this weekend. I'm just gonna sit in my apartment and I'm gonna clean my room and I'm gonna make myself some really healthy bomb-ass food. And I did that, and after that weekend I felt like so incredible. I talked a little bit on my Instagram, if you followed me even way back then, I talked a little bit on that about how that weekend just really, like, I don't know, it like changed something in me. It was so healthy for me to just kind of sit at home and let myself recharge. So no one saying yes is gonna be good for you, and no one saying yes might not be so good. Know your boundaries, know where you have to cut things off, and establish those now so that when you're presented with those opportunities in the future, you know what's right for you. Girl boss habit number 9 is that girl bosses use both their heart and their mind. So this is one that I haven't seen in a lot of videos, so I was kind of excited to share it with you guys. If something's like tugging on your heart, and if something's kind of tugging on your heart but it doesn't seem entirely logical, but you just feel like in your heart that you have this, you know, for a reason, maybe it's to help people, or maybe, you know, it's for a certain cause. If you have that on your heart, even if it doesn't seem completely completely logical, if it seems like it's too big for you, if it seems like it's just too crazy, take that risk. It's going to pay off. Helping people is never a mistake. Even if it seems like you're in over your head, I promise you that that slightly illogical dream that you have is definitely going to be worth it in the end when you go after it. On the flip side of that, if something is good in theory, or it's logical, or it's by the book, but it doesn't necessarily feel right, you know, something just feels off, trust your gut. So for example, sorry, I like to give examples just because I like when other people do that in their videos. I like when they kind of explain what they're actually thinking. But when I was working at Ulta, there was a woman that came in one time and she was just shopping around and stuff, and I did the typical, you know, like, hi, how are you today? What can I help you with? And over the course of my time talking to her, she ended up mentioning that she had just had a house fire actually and lost pretty much everything in her home besides like she and her family. So that included obviously like shampoo, conditioner, styling tools, makeup, literally everything. And so I spent a little bit more time on her than was probably necessary, you know, in the by the book way of doing things when you're working in a retail store. But I spent the whole time with her just kind of running through the store with her, going over everything, like a checklist in my head of things that I thought that she could use and everything like that. I helped her find everything, gave her really great customer service, and she left so happy. And then later I did something that was completely crazy and illogical. We actually ended up kind of pooling money together, so I didn't really have a ton of money to give at the time, but I think I put like $50 in or something, and we just kind of all went together and we actually got her a gift card from like our staff. That's something that we wouldn't have done if I hadn't taken the initiative and said like, hey, this is kind of crazy, and I know that obviously like we don't do this for every customer and this is a little bit out of the ordinary, but there's this girl and it's just like really tugging on my heart right now that I feel like this is something we need to do. And we did it. She literally cried in our store because she came in another time. I was gonna mail it to her because I'd gotten her address from her. She ended up coming into our store and we gave it to her in person, and like everyone in the store was crying and it was just so great. But because of that, we established a really good relationship with a great customer. So this is not just like a people tactic, but even a business tactic. Making good relationships with people is going to put you in such a place for like good business relationships as well. So that was just a really fun example. I have so many of these, but definitely, you know, use both your heart and your mind. Don't just be a very cold by the book person, but don't, you know, kind of always be out on a whim. So use them both together. Find balance, find your peace. All right, so girl boss habit number 10 is that girl bosses take time for themselves. This is something that I feel like everybody talks about, but nobody seems to prioritize it as well as we should. You will not function at your best if you're not allowing yourself the time to reset. So like I said, I took that weekend to myself, or over this last week, I took this whole time. I could have probably done some other things that were slightly more productive. Like I could have taken other shifts or something like that, or I could have added some things onto my plate, but I decided to really take the time to do the things that I felt I needed to do to kind of recharge myself. I cleaned my space, I redecorated a little bit, or like moved things around a little bit, so it kind of like freshened up my mind. And I took like 3 baths and I just kind of soaked and sat and watched YouTube and stuff like that. It was an extremely productive week for me because I was able to recharge myself and I took that time for myself. You can't give 100% without being 100%. So definitely make sure that you're taking that time to reset yourself and recharge yourself and refill yourself so you can be pouring out into others and into your job and schoolwork, whatever it is that you have going on. Make sure that you're at 100% so you can be giving 100% to those things. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed this very rambly girl boss habits video. Obviously, I am not perfect and I have not established a perfect routine, but stuff like this has definitely inspired me to get there. Watching videos like this has inspired me to get there, and I am slowly but surely working my way into basically just like the life that I've wanted for myself. So I hope that this inspired you guys to do the same. If it did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Leave a comment down below on what your favorite tip that I had was, or if you have another one that has been really helpful for you that I didn't mention, be sure to leave that in a comment as well. If you want to see more videos like this, as well as like fashion and beauty videos, be sure to click subscribe down below and click the little bell. That's the notification button, so you'll be notified every time I post a new video. And with that, I think our very long chit-chatty habits video is complete. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!